Hi there, welcome to the ATS podcast with me, Will Brown, and John Soulsby, where we break down chunks of health and fitness information into bite-sized pieces, remove a bunch of the noise, and just leave what's relevant. Today we are actually re-recording episode 4. We had a bit of a technical issue when we first went through the recording, so we're starting back again on question 13.
Yeah.
Is cardio necessary along with weight training? Yes, for optimum health benefits, cardiovascular health and musculoskeletal health are both important. So, doing cardiovascular exercise and resistant training exercise is really important. Quite a lot of people participate in just cardio and could benefit from some resistance training in their life.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who weight train have this idea that cardio will kill your gains. I probably thought that when I was first starting as well, but
Yeah,
I'm going to say no. You
yeah,
look at a lot of rugby players and American football players; they all have pretty good cardio and they're all pretty jacked. So
yeah. Loads. I'll see also CrossFit.
yeah,
Like anyone in that, you're like, it's a
yeah.
pretty reasonable combo.
So
The the main one, if you're concerned about the interference effect, as in like the interference of cardiovascular exercise with weight training, just try separate them by 4 to 6 hours. I think the old
yeah,
recommendation was about 6 hours. I'm not entirely sure of if that's come down or how that's come in, but if you're really worried about it, just keep 6 hours between the two and you're fine.
yeah. Or if you're beginning, different days because we're not looking to be training all that often. So
Yeah, just do different
um,
days. Um,
and
or if you
again for
want,
beginners.
I was about to
Well, I
say
was
if you
just going
want
to
and
say,
begin, combine them because that means that you're very unlikely to have days where you're very likely to have a confirmed off day where you're doing nothing.
very true.
Versus if you split them up, you might end up doing exercise on every day or like, more days than you planned. So,
Yep, very true. Another point as well, though, is especially well for everyone, but also for beginners more so. Like a brisk walk counts as cardio exercise, so
yeah.
you can literally pick a coffee shop that's 15 minutes away, walking, brisk walk there, get a coffee, brisk walk back. Great, awesome, done,
Mhm.
and you might enjoy it more. So
Um Next up, question 14. How do I progress in weight training? You just look to increase the amount of stuff that you're doing over time, and time being probably the medium to long term.
yeah,
You can progress your. It's a weird question because different variables adjust training differently. Like weight, technically, for a lot of things, is the least amount of extra work you can do.
hmm
Um, like if you increase the dumbbell you are lifting by 2.5 kilos and do the same amount of sets and reps, you're only adding, again, depending on the number of repetitions, 2.5 times the number of repetitions, like over all the sets. Versus if you add another rep, you're essentially doing an extra whatever the weight is effort,
yeah,
which may not be the sum of all those the extra 2.5 kilos. So yeah, it's a weird one, but the main one is progress in the short term as and when. There's no real defined timeline. Some people take a little longer to adapt than others. It's fine. The main one is that with consistently going to the gym over months to years, you should be looking to improve over time moderately. Like you should be able to look back on your last year of training and be like, oh yeah, like I'm in a much better place than I was then. That's all.
totally. And you'd be amazed as well how after months and years, you will look back at weights you're doing now, and when you started, you thought they were completely incomprehensible how you could ever do them.
Yeah.
Just true.
Also, you don't actually technically need to progress. The participation in resistance training is decent just to be doing. It's like one of the few avenues where a
Yeah.
participation award is merited. Um, the one we got technical issues in last time is what should I eat before and after weight training? Food ideally,
Yeah.
but not too close either end. Some people get issues with eating too close to exercise and chundering because
Yeah. Seeing it again.
yeah, like having your body go into a state of digestive process when you're about to throw it around in a gym, not the best idea.
Yeah. We've
Um,
probably all been there to a certain degree of like you're rushed or whatever, and you're like, oh, I've not eaten in ages. Right, I'll grab a quick something to eat on the
yeah,
way. You get to the gym, you start training, you're like, oh no.
yeah. I mean, you're not going to be like one of my cousin who finished drinking his 2 liters of blue milk about 15 minutes
That you
before
the
starting
only
training.
the best thing about that was that I told you so part when both you and I were like, mate, we told you don't do this.
Yeah,
Silly.
do it
And then we
anyway.
finished and then did it anyway. And then we could be like, told you, bro.
Yeah, go as he is fucking throwing up milk on the driveway. Great. Idiot. Yeah, in terms of an actual answer for what to eat, um, having protein and carbohydrates would be ideal, but you're probably going to account for them in your diet at other places. Again, just making sure you have food
Yeah.
like an hour and a half or so before training. Time doesn't really matter. You just don't want it to be too close because, again, you trying to be athletic on a full stomach is very hard and probably makes you feel quite sick. Eating after the gym at some point, ideally, doesn't really matter what kind of time. The pre-workout, the post-workout, anabolic window, bro, isn't really a thing. As long as you eat kind of within about a regular feeding window, which is like 4 hours, 6 hours. Like you don't want to just
Yeah.
train, not eat anything, and then go sleep for 8 hours. Um,
Um,
and that'll
yeah,
probably
especially
be
if you've eaten before, like an hour and a half before, or whatever, is not that big a deal for you to not eat within half an hour afterwards, as
oh
some
yeah.
people claim it is.
You could quite happily have like something at 3 p.m., go to the gym and train at about 5, finish training about 6, get home like closer to 7 o'clock, have your dinner at some point in the evening, and go to bed. That's fine.
Yeah, very reasonable.
And that is that for this episode. We'll catch you for the last 4 questions.